Well, I guess we all saw it coming, but I guess it came a little sooner than we anticipated. I didn't know it was going to happen this fast. Welcome to Teal Town Live. It's me, it's Puck Guy, and so Peter DeBoer has been shown the door as first reported by Elliot Friedman. Following that, Pierre LeBrun giving a little more details. Now, here's the fun thing. Evidently, he had one more year left on his deal, getting about $3 million per. So not a huge loss, especially not a huge loss when you've got a guy behind the bench who's going to take over. And it's already been reported that Bob Boughner is expected to take over the bench boss duties, as predicted by myself and countless others on here at different times. So, Erik, initial thoughts?
We knew that maybe something was going to have to happen, but didn't expect this right now. I thought maybe by January, to be quite honest. But, you know, with the team losing the entire road trip, they are struggling offensively. They are having issues defensively, goaltending-wise. It's been up and down, although, like we said last night, Jones had a great night last night. Evidently that was not enough, and to be 15-16-2, in 33 games into the season for a team that's got a lot of talent that should be able to get it done, is not going to cut it.
Well, and we're also talking about an issue where, if memory serves, this is the first time Doug Wilson has fired a coach mid-season.
Yes, he inherited Ron Wilson from Dean Lombardi when he took over the team in 2003. He then, they did a removal at the end of the 07-08 season after the Sharks were eliminated by Dallas in round 2 and hired McClellan in the offseason. And, of course, McClellan was, mutually parted ways, I guess we'll call it.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, Gwyneth.
They stole that
Thank you, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Well, they stole that from Harbaugh and the Niners, not that long afterward.
Oh, that's right. Gwyneth Paltrow was a conscious uncoupling. All right, so OC 54, is Doug Wilson on the hot seat? We've covered this a bajillion times, but hey, I'll say it again. No, I think Hasso, Plotner, that Wilson is his guy. And as long as the Sharks keep going to the playoffs every season, that's, until Wilson has like a stretch of 3 seasons where they don't go to the playoffs, then maybe Wilson's on the hot seat. And with the lack of talent at the forward position right now and in the future, that might be happening sooner than Hasso expected or thought.
Yeah. And we're looking in the chat too. Felix is saying David Pagnotta from the fourth period, tweeting that Dave Barr, Steve Spott, and Johan Hedberg have also been fired. So
wow.
So that means everybody but Boughner is gone.
Man, this is wow. And this is burn the house down cleaning.
And to be honest, we haven't seen this bad. I would say when not even the Sutter was fired because they were. I would say when Constantine was fired, and this was around the time Constantine was let go in 1995. After he had just signed a fresh new contract. And of course, AJ and I were both know back then that Constantine wanted wanted his assistants in and sent Drew and Vasily Tikhonov to Kansas City while he brought in
Whoa. Oh, that was kind of cool. Oh man, hate when that happens. That was cool.
You all right?
Yeah, no, tried to get Jerk in and everything kind of imploded on me for a second, but go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, this is only the third time a mid-season firing has taken place. December 95, Constantine was let go in favor of Jim Wiley. In 2002, a little after Thanksgiving, Daryl Sutter was shown the door in favor of, at the time it was Doug Wilson, Cap Raider, were kind of platooning it for a game, and then they eventually landed Ron Wilson.
Well, we don't need to get into a whole history lesson. The fact of the matter is Peter DeBoer is gone now. Are we shocked that Hedberg and Spott and that crew? I'm a little shocked about Hedberg just because he came up with the Sharks organization, came through it. Spott, I think a lot of fans are kind of like, too little, too late, to be honest. Hockey Jerk joining us. Your take. Or not. Evidently, Hockey Jerk is busy eating, probably.
Oh, boy.
I can't say I'm surprised.
But to while you try to get Jerk back on, goaltender and power play coach. Let's be real here. Goaltending was an issue. Power play was a major issue. I mean, one goal in the last 12 games on the power play. And again, we talk about the talent on this team, and we've had stretches. We mentioned it the other day. What was it? Shang mentioned it on Twitter, how long they've been stretching out on struggling with the power play. I mean, it's just unacceptable, and so this team is now going to have a new whole cast, and who knows what it's going to lead. If we're hearing Boughner is going to be the head coach, does that mean? And we're talking full speculation here. Does that mean Nabby will step in as the full-time goalie coach in the meantime?
I mean, why wouldn't
he? At this point, kind of platoon back and forth between the Sharks and Barracuda. I mean, assistants, who knows? I mean, do you bring up Roy Sommer, who has a year of NHL assistant coaching experience under Darryl Sutter?
No, you know who you bring in? Drew fucking Remenda.
No. If he ever wanted to get into coaching, I would go with Dan Boyle.
That would be nice. I'd like to see him coach the defense.
I think him would be pretty awesome to do,
because he had that offensive upside just like EK and Burns does. But he had a nasty, not taking shit from nobody kind of attitude that he could also spread among the group. This is just amazing. I wonder if also part of this comes down from the fact that just a week or so ago, there was audio of DeBoer calm down. There was audio of DeBoer in a post-game press conference where he literally was quoted as saying I don't have the answers. I don't know the answer.
Right.
Dude, I mean, you might as well just throw the resignation on the boss's table at that point.
Yeah, and he had that. He also mentioned early on when the power play was struggling in this stretch, I'm not worried about the power play. I'm sorry.
Dude, it's been 0 for 27. Be fucking worried.
Right.
Jerkman, your initial thoughts.
Okay, so as we talked about,
didn't we predict do I get foreseen points for Boughner taking over the bench duties?
I'll have to check with my associates, but I think that might be in order.
I'm feeling like it. Feeling like that's going to happen.
Good to see you guys. I was never on the train for Fire DeBoer for the reasons that a lot of other people were, because of he hates young players and he's dumb and doesn't know how to do this.
Dude, but imagine when Ian wakes up and sees this news.
Oh my God.
I said it on Discord with you guys. I said it on Pucknologist as well. The only way firing Peter DeBoer makes sense to me is if they feel like somebody else can utilize the current roster more efficiently. Clearly, that's the case. DeBoer is gone as the head coach, and I just tweeted it out on Twitter at @hockey_jerk. But it's kind of interesting how the things not going well for the Sharks were eliminated. Goaltending is a struggle, they fire Hedberg. Power play is a struggle, they fire Spott. But the defense, which has been a lot better the last, I'd say, 5 weeks, which is Bob Boughner's department, he's the head coach now. So, I mean, for all that we, and we are definitely as guilty as others are, but for all that we complain about, the organization not identifying the problems it has, this is one of those things where, all the right moves were made. Like you don't want to spit on a guy's grave, but like the right people were removed and the right people were kept.
And friend of the show, Ross McKeon, wondering aloud if Mike Ricci will be making the jump to assistant coach.
Interesting.
Well, okay, not to stoke any flames or anything or stir the.
I mean, Mike Ricci isn't the name that comes to mind when you think about a power play, but go ahead.
So, and again, this is a very off the rails, very maybe kind of sort of thing, but I don't recall what game it was after. But Kevin Kurz threw out a tweet like, "Oh, after the game, Ryan Clough made an appearance in the Sharks dressing room," and a lot of people on Twitter were like, new coach, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
What's Craig Vervey up to?
But Ryan Clough, like, for those who don't know, he's got experience behind the New Jersey Devils bench, behind the San Francisco Bulls bench.
Well, Peter DeBoer had experience behind the Devils bench, but go ahead.
So Ryan Clough, even though I don't think Kurz was insinuating anything. If Ryan Clough somehow miraculously became an option, I don't think it would be the worst option ever.
Nope.
No. First time it would be that, a former player, Sharks player, would become a coach for the Sharks.
Yeah.
I mean an actual, not obviously not, we're not talking about Nabby or, well, I guess Hedberg, you could say, he did have that hot minute there, but.
I gotta say though, I did not expect this at all. Like they just gave DeBoer the extension. I thought they were gonna ride it out until at least the season ended.
Well, funny you bring that up because LeBron reporting DeBoer had this year and next left on his contract at a $3 million per year salary. So I'm not totally shocked by this. I'm wondering if his contract was up over this last offseason and they just gave him a 2-year extension. But, I mean, you look at this. Was this a long time? The other thing that gets me, too, look at the schedule here, boys. I mean, we're in the middle of the second 5-game losing streak of the season with, one of the most talented blue lines ever put on the map. And your second 5-game losing streak in a single season. I mean, a shoe had to drop. And we've been sitting here after the last 3 games going, what do you do? And remember, Doug Wilson he's saying he has no apologies for the Erik Karlsson contract. And
as he shouldn't.
Yeah. And even I think it was Ross McKeon also earlier. Ross McKeon been very active today on Twitter. But he,
I'm sorry for almost getting you fired that one time.
Hey now. But watch. What's really funny is Sharky is now tweeting that it's an honor to be nominated. Mascot Hall of Fame, and now back to San Jose. Yeah, we got some news for you, pal. But hold on. What was the point that I was making there? Oh, that Wilson is married to this EK deal, and Ross McKeon was saying he thought, and again, foreseen points jerk, that he believes that Wilson and staff overestimated, overvalued, whatever you want to call it, but looked at the guys like Chmelevski, Chekovic, whatever the hell, Checo, we'll just call him that. Blickfeld, Bergman, that maybe he thought those guys were far more ready for primetime than they actually were. And so that gave him the comfort to throw all that money at Erik Karlsson and say, oh, we'll be fine because we've got all these pieces down below in place. And essentially none of them have panned out as we're almost halfway through a season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was totally ridiculous to have those expectations for those prospects you listed. I mean, all of them had really good junior seasons last year, and I think a smart person would say that they probably would have made a bigger impact. I think it was unfortunate that none of them made an impact. But even then, like you were going and you were talking about it a little bit, and I was thinking about it too. This is very interesting timing. I mean, I guess it's good they didn't do it on a game day. But
how jacked up would it have been if they'd done it like the day before Christmas?
Right. But it's like,
but if I'm not mistaken, that's when he got fired from New Jersey.
Would not be surprised.
I'll let me read that. Keep going, Jerk.
But kind of weird timing. Like the Sharks are, I mean, I assume they're back in San Jose, right? But we're in a day between a road game and a home game, so you got travel and a bunch of logistical things going on. Like I'm wondering, I don't know if Doug Wilson woke up today and he's like, you know what, we're gonna fire the coach, or like if yesterday after the game it was like, yeah, so Pete, just you're not coming with us. Like I don't know how it transpired, but very interesting timing. Like I think with Doug Wilson, I think he realizes where the roster's at. I mean, you've got two, we've been through it all before. You have two Norris Trophy defensemen on your team. You signed Kane and Couture and Vlasic and Timo Meier long-term or semi-long-term. And it's like, and we even talked about it, AJ, on Discord after the game against the Florida Panthers. Like now is the time to do this. Like, and by this, I mean, like, win a Stanley Cup. Like now is the time. You can't screw around and take a year off. The Sharks don't have that luxury because they don't have their first or second round draft pick this year. They don't have that luxury. And so I think for Doug Wilson, I think he realized, okay, the way things are going right now, and we need to make a change. And that's, I think, what a lot of this stems from. And my biggest gripe with DeBoer, I mean, he's an NHL coach, so by default, he's a good coach. But my biggest gripe with him was that there was a strong inability to change when things were not going well.
Yeah. Another thing that I think kind of contributed to this as well, we talked about the younger guys not being ready for prime time. I think another key factor of this is the fact that LeBanc, Meier, and Sorensen have all kind of regressed this season.
Yeah.
Each one of those guys, you had like Sorensen at 17 last year, expected to get 20. You have Meier at 30 last year, hoping for 35. You had LeBanc, I believe, also at 17, hoping to get maybe 22, 25. And each one of them is off the pace that they had last year by like a significant margin. A third of the way into the season, and they're not close to being to having a third of the numbers that they had last season. So
and you look at a guy like Kevin LeBanc who took the massive hometown discount to go to try and land a bigger deal. He's had an okay season, but he's definitely been in the penalty box a lot more.
Brady, did you just get here, pal? I only asked that because you asked, do you think Boughner could be the interim coach? It's already been announced. Boughner is the interim coach and will be for the foreseeable future.
Would you guys real quick, would you guys like a stat?
Lay it on me, man.
So, and this is coming from Dmitry Filipovich, the last time since the Red Wings last won a game, there have been 5 coaches who have either been fired or quit.
Yeah, no, we when did we talk about that? Was that last night? I remember just talking about that. The other issue as well, man, that is such a jacked up stat, bro.
Well, you know what? Detroit wouldn't be a bad spot for Pete to beat the land, though.
Sure, why not? Who cares? He's not you know what? Not my problem anymore.
But to go back to answer a thought, he was fired by the Devils on December 26, 2014. So the day after Christmas.
So
and here, let's also call out one other thing. And you talk about foreseen points. Rewind the clock to 2015 when the Sharks got PDB. We were told by Gen X the first season will be successful and he will never get as close to that for the rest of the time that he's here. You'll get the one good year and then that's it. And I'll be damned if Gen X didn't, hello, owner of foreseen right there.
Yeah, well, Gen X isn't the only person who said that at the time, so
well,
I like to give him that crap for it. But no, he was 100% right. And you look at the history. I mean, first year in Florida, makes the playoffs for the first time in forever, never made it back. New Jersey, first year, Stanley Cup final, never made it back to the playoffs. Now, his history with the Sharks does maybe kind of tweak that narrative a little bit. I mean, outside of the first year Stanley Cup final, you had a first round exit, a second round exit, a conference final exit. So it's not, from the top all the way down, it's like down, up, down, up. But Gen X's point is 100% accurate. Like you look at the recent history before the Sharks and then obviously with the Sharks of up until about 12 minutes ago, it was a lot of the same.
Yes. But AJ, I think I mentioned this on the show when we did. You think about it. You think about that power play. They're 10 minutes away from going home in the first round in 7 games with Pavelski, Carlson, everybody there. So this could have been on the plate,
Well,
right after Game 7 against Vegas.
Maybe he doesn't get the extension during this last offseason. Our buddy, friend of the show, Shalana Goldman, saying, I know there are a lot of Sharks fans out there who have expressed their desire for DeBoer to get the boot. It needs to be understood that there are a lot of other issues this team needs to address. A coaching change isn't where problems end.
Yep.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Only because, like I said earlier, the Sharks, I don't think they have the personnel to win the Stanley Cup unless a lot of things go right for them. But they definitely have the personnel to make the playoffs and be a dominant team in the playoffs. And I think you get a new, we'll say, visionary behind the bench who maybe moves some guys around. I mean, AJ knows Discord and Twitter the last 3 days. I'm literally drawing up power plays for the Sharks to do.
Well, he was.
Like, I'm just saying, like, you make these changes, like everybody's saying, like, people are saying, oh, Doug Wilson's next. No, Doug Wilson looked and said, okay, what is wrong with my team? And identified it and then got rid of everything that's wrong.
Well, here's the other funny thing, too, if you consider this. And again, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I'm just pointing out things that are and what I find comical some days. Brody and Brownie, just a couple days ago, or actually I believe it was yesterday, during Twitter Mission, it was asked to them, should DeBoer be given the Spanish Archer? El Bo,
Right.
You gone. And what's funny, it's like, oh, you want to get, dude, they won 11 of 14 games in November. Why would you want to get rid of a coach that did that and everything? So my point is, go back and watch the Twitter missions from yesterday just to get a feeling, just to, jog the memory a little bit, and then ask them some questions tomorrow. I just think it's quite funny how it's so Pollyanna and the positivity is at peak positive. And why would you dare get rid of a coach? Well, you're not the GM felt like it was time. Sorry that you guys didn't. And what's going to be great is no matter. Oh my God, you know what, Bob Boughner? Yeah, he only had those 2 years in Florida, but goddamn if they weren't in a spectacular 2 years, even though Florida didn't make the playoffs or even come close. But Boughner is a really good guy. But it's going to be positivity on 10. I look forward to seeing it. Hey, now there's a good-looking guy in the chat. I know that dude. Kurt Price, our buddy from Let's Go Blues Radio. It's refreshing to see a coach get fired for actual hockey reasons for a change. Damn. Like the only coach who hasn't gotten fired for #MeToo this season. That's impressive. Or gambling or whatever the hell Jim Montgomery got canned for.
So it makes you wonder, is Bob interim? Is he the man? A lot of questions.
Depends on what he does this season.
Yeah, it depends on what goes on here because it's now.
Bob is perfect. He's in the perfect spot because if they turn it around and they're able to get on a nice streak, get back into the playoff picture and whatnot, and even potentially make the playoffs, then Boughner is now like he's got a little finagling, a little negotiating to do, what have you. If for some reason it kind of maintains, the status quo, it's just kind of like, well, what did you expect? I got the same players as DeBoer had. Like he's in a win-win situation right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a couple things come to mind here, and I know the three of us talked about this on one of the Discords we've done, where, okay, all the haters and the keyboard warriors, they got what they wanted. DeBoer's gone. What happens if the Sharks are still struggling? Who's the scapegoat now? Is it going to be Erik Karlsson, who's been the best player the last 6 weeks?
Brendan Dillon's going to get traded.
We're not going to get into that. But
I'm not saying he should be traded. I'm just saying that your most valuable, easily movable piece.
oh my God, we're 3 points out of a playoff spot. We might as well be 12 points out of a playoff spot. It's like, okay, slow down. But it's funny. I had a buddy text me and they're like, dude, DeBoer just got fired. And this buddy is one of those people who's like,
oh,
my
is he
God.
a bullshit artist that like retweets stuff from 5 years ago as if it's current? Is he one of those types?
No. He's always like the DeBoer could put Thornton's power play unit out on the ice first and be like, oh my God, we need to fire that guy. Like one of those people. And my buddy's like, dude, DeBoer fired. And I'm like, can you stop like screwing around? Okay. And he's like, dude, go on Twitter. I'm like, no, I'm not buying into your crap. And sure enough, I go on Twitter and that's what I see. But I think going back to the point I actually wanted to make, I think you look at Bob Boughner's time with the Florida Panthers. He had a pretty decent roster, just things didn't go well for him, obviously. And I think to your point, AJ, talking about a win-win situation, I think Boughner's going to have a lot to prove this time around. He's like he left the, I would say, pretty secure assistant coach job to go be a head coach somewhere else. Didn't work out. He came back. This is his time to prove that he can be a full-time head coach. And I hope so. I mean, like we've said, in terms of what's going on coaching-wise behind the bench, the Bob Boughner's responsibilities, which is defense, has been the only thing going well.
Okay, hold on. I want to get to this comment because I don't get it. Brendan Dillon equals turnover machine.
If you're referring to Apple turnovers, I would agree.
I guess. I was going to say the entire defense is, but anyway. Again, hear me out. 4 words. Assistant coach, or I should say 5 words. Power play coach, Drew Remenda.
Imagine that.
That would be so great. God, that would be fun.
I just want to say, too, I want to shout out Four Paws. She's petitioning for me to be the power play coach, so I want to just appreciate it.
Hear me out. Power play coach, hockey jerk.
I'll be honest. I think I'll take power play coach hockey jerk over Drew, just because I remember some of those power plays in the early years. They weren't exactly the best in the world.
Well, it comes down to personnel and deployment.
Yeah, it's true.
A lot better personnel on this team right now. And Jerk spent 20 minutes offering a dissertation about why Couture is on the wrong wing, as is LeBanc. On the power play.
And that's the thing. It's all about the little things. And even watching the game against Nashville, last night, for those who are listening live, like if you watch the Sharks power play, it's like, okay, Carlson comes up, he drops it back to whoever's behind him, and they swing forward. And it's like, I think this is a situation where you have too much structure, right? Like sometimes with the power play, sometimes you just need to wing it and see what happens, right? Because if you're like, okay, I have the puck, so I need to do A, B, and C, and then D will happen. And the other teams are like, look at this idiot. I'm just going to take the puck right off him. So I think you get in the zone, and Vince G, friend of the show, pointed it out as well. If you don't see anything, dump it in, have the extra guy go and get it, and set something up. It's when you get too much structure, you become more predictable. And I think the whole thing with the handedness as well, and I hope to see a difference with whoever the new coach is say you're Couture, left-handed on the right side, you can still turn your body and look up at either Carl or Burnsy or whoever's at the top, but it also gives you the option to get your stick parallel to the net, the front of the net at least. Or if you don't see anything, bounce it off the boards around the net and go to your other guy there. It's little things that I hope whoever the new coaching staff is, they say, okay, that's not working. Why don't we try this and see if it works? Just mix it up. And if what they try doesn't work, just go back to the original. It's not a crime.
Hockey Jerk will be bringing diagrams with him next show. Alec Vincent.
My whiteboard is on the way.
Yeah, Dylan, decent but overestimated among Sharks fans like Braun was. I don't think that's the case. The reason why we bring up Dylan is because he's easily the asset that the Sharks have right now that is the easiest to move, that will bring the most back. That's why we bring up Burns. That's the only thing there. Now, Brad, I got to take issue with this. Burns is a -21 on the year, while EK65 is a -3. Why is no one giving Burns crap? Brad, clearly you've missed like the last 2 pucknologists and the last 5 After Darks.
Right.
We have given Burns plenty of crap, and praised EK65's return from the dead after having a horrible October. We can call out both things. It's not, they're not, things aren't mutually exclusive.
I think, therefore, I am.
Hey, now. So,
and we should mention right here, there's 153 of you watching. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
153 watching, only 12 thumbs up. Come on, people.
Yeah, let's get the thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button too.
I just thumbed up right now. Thank
you very much.
If you all enjoy the show, you should. 14. There we go. If you thumbs up the video, something good will happen. I can't tell you what it is, obviously, but something good will happen. You will meet your true love, or you'll win the lottery. But you should thumb up this video.
Yes, one of those things. And damn it, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend. Okay, who's this? Who's this guy over here? New coach needs to make sure we will never see Vlasic on the power play again. Hey now.
I miss you, Chris.
Chris, good to see you. That 44 jersey has a lot of way-off shots.
Dude, Patrick Waugh, anybody? Oh man, wouldn't that be a great goalie coach?
Oh jeez.
Oh my god.
David H on an East Coast work trip and was dinner and just saw the news, had to see what Teal Town was up to. Give a thumbs up too. Thank you very much, David.
Now hit that subscribe button, buddy.
Yeah. Big time. So Boughner is apparently the coach. Obviously we have not heard anything official coming from the Sharks just yet.
Yes. Yes, Ted. Yes.
If I had to guess, trade for Matthew. Come on. If I had to guess, the reason why we haven't heard anything from the Sharks is because maybe they're trying to figure out who the assistants are.
I mean, yeah, and not to mention the fact too is that they might just be setting up stuff to have a presser tomorrow morning before pre-games, before the morning skate. They're obviously going to be inundated with some media, and you got the New York media here tomorrow as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's it. And who knows? There might be other things, other components to this machine, if you will, that, maybe some other moving parts need to be introduced. But yeah, they're definitely going to have to announce who, like Boughner's not going to do everything, so you got to announce who else is taking over. Again, do we see what Ross is predicting? Where maybe Mike Ricci gets a call up as a coach. I don't know, Brian Marchment, Nabby. I mean,
oh boy,
wouldn't it be? No. Oh, dude. All right, hear me out. Coach for the defense, Doug Wilson. Like, put your money where your mouth is, pal.
And it wouldn't be the first time he stepped behind the bench.
Just saying. So who's the cap for the Sharks that has like one win?
Doug Wilson and Cap Raider.
That's it. Yeah. So
that was in between Sutter and Wilson and RW.
Okay. A couple of things here. Okay, number one, why is Doug Wilson still the GM? Because he's a really good GM. Okay, case closed. Number two, LeBanc in a second for Hall. I would rub a lamp, as AJ would say. Well, actually, no, that says LeBlanc. LeBlanc's not on the team.
Here we go. Now, here's a question. There's something to debate.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Chris, T-Mac or DeBoer?
Who are you
going with?
So real quick. So two things, actually. So number one, if you recall over the summer when Boughner was coming back, the casualty was Rob Zettler. Rob Zettler was fired for the second time by the Sharks. Now we got room. I mean, did anybody else not hate Zettler behind the bench last year? I thought he was all right.
I didn't have a huge problem with him.
I mean, what's the saying? It's the guy you know, or the evil you know versus
the devil
the
you
evil
know.
you. Yeah, there you go. Also, the second point I wanted to make. So a couple weeks ago, John Scott posted on his Twitter a picture of a San Jose Sharks jersey, Scott 20, and his podcast said some really cool things in the works. And then John Scott said, stay tuned. Now, this probably has nothing to do with the new coach, but...
God, wouldn't that be hysterical?
Oh my god.
Who's going to be the poor bastard who's got seats behind the bench with that drink of water in front of him?
Yeah.
You'd never see the game. You wouldn't even see the Jumbotron.
Mitya Reznikov with a super chat donation. Thank you very much. He says, good luck to Bob. And of course, all our super chat donations go back to support the show in every form possible.
Yes,
so thank you very much, Mitya.
Got to pay for AJ's warm-up jerseys.
Hey now.
Oh, let's not. Let's not.
Dude, and what's really funny is I just saw like some weird tweet and I was like, I started to read the tweet and I was like, what? And then I saw who wrote it and I was like, and it continues. It just never ends. Oh, man. So Chris is saying, I'd say DeBoer has a better legacy here than T-Mac. 2 Western Conference Finals, 1 Stanley Cup Final. Yeah, I get that. But, you know, I'm never going to forget that it lacked polish. For me, it's Ron Wilson will always be known for Hanta Yo, and T-Mac will always be known for polish. Lacked polish. And I guess now DeBoer, in my mind, will always be known as not having the answer.
or as Rocket would say, resting nap face.
Resting nap face. You know what would be really funny, too, is if we could somehow alter the audio from the clip from last night's game when Baker started like talking really softly to the officials, and oh my god, wouldn't it be great? He's like, yeah, this is Jamie Baker, Sharks broadcaster. If you could get rid of the head coach for the Sharks, that would really help us out. Thank you. You know, that would be great. But now it's so this is essentially what the third. Was Wilson the coach? I mean, was Ron Wilson the coach when Doug Wilson became GM, or did Doug Wilson install Ron Wilson?
No, Doug Wilson. Doug Wilson had Ron Wilson as the coach beforehand. Dean Lombardi was the one who brought him in.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
and he brought in Zettler and Tim Hunter with him.
So this is Doug Wilson's third coach.
Yes.
Third coach that he's fired.
Yes. So, but this is what exactly, which makes me want to be able to use the three fucking times from last night, because that was some beautiful audio. I want the mics open on the officials every game.
I'm just saying, the three of us have talked about this. Like, HBO needs to get involved with the NHL and have a feed of the game where all the mics are just hot all the time.
Yeah. Oh my God, how glorious would that be? And then you would finally have it. You know, we've heard a lot, and I'm not going there. I'm just using it as an example. But we've heard that some players in the past have used derogatory or racially charged comments. Then it was like, oh, did he really say it? Well, we all know now. Although, how bad would it be, though, if everybody knew that everybody was mic'd? Dude, everybody would, like, you'd hear the worst chirps ever, because nobody would want to be the wrong guy who says the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Who says anything dumb.
We get Yo Mama jokes back at this point.
That would be it.
So I have a candidate for tweet of the night, if you'd like to hear it.
Sure.
So,
not if it's the one I think it is.
No, it's not. So this individual quote tweeted the announcement that DeBoer, Spott, Hedberg, and Barr got fired. And this person said, DeBoer and Hedberg were notified by telephone, and for the other coach, they just used a little spot remover.
Was that Alden?
Wow.
Alden's been on that joke now for a week.
No, that was at Anthrax Jones, who's a solid follow.
All right, that's pretty good. Something else I thought I saw come up. Oh, another thing now, and here's why I bring this up. Last night, it was a fan, I can't remember if it was on Twitter or Facebook, but a fan, quote unquote, reported, if you will, but they had a photo of the bench. Like, this guy's seats were right behind the Sharks bench. And he's got this photo of Jumbo. And he put on there immediately prior to taking this photo, I heard Jumbo had just come off a line change and screamed, well, not screamed, but said very loudly, "What the fuck is wrong with our team?"
Wow.
Maybe that also has something to do with action occurring today. I don't know. But, Jumbo knows this is quite probably the last ride. And how bad is it going to be when you look at the overall career that guy's had, and then it's going to fizzle out like a bad fart, like he doesn't even get the opportunity to play for it in his final year? Oof. That's tough, man. That's a tough way to go.
And the other tough part is that if you don't make the playoffs, I think at this point it's just making the playoffs to save Doug Wilson's butt. But if you
I don't believe that. I think Hasso.
No, I don't either.
That's Wilson. Wilson is Hasso's guy.
But if that pick turns into a lottery pick for Ottawa, it's tough to think about it, guys. You gave up Tierney, Balsers. Help me out here, Jerk.
Tierney, DeMello, Balsers, Josh Norris, a first, a second, and another first.
Aside from Josh Norris, do you miss any of those players, really? I guess maybe Tierney?
No.
But
yeah, Chris Tierney and his 4 goals this year, I think I'm good.
Yeah, that's true.
But at the same time, what's the complaint that we've been hearing about all year? Well, with that money, we could have saved on Pavelski, Nyquist, and Donskoy.
What?
No, he's talking about if the Sharks hadn't brought back Erik Karlsson, which I guess okay, you make a solid point, but okay, Pavelski wasn't coming back anyways. Donskoy wasn't going to do what he's doing now with the Sharks, and Nyquist could have came back anyways, and he didn't, which is fine. But
let's be honest with rewind it however long ago, 2 years ago, this whole thing started with not retaining Mike Hoffman.
I mean, I wouldn't have hated keeping Hoffman, to be totally honest. I mean, he's had a hell of a time in Florida, so I wouldn't have hated that. I got to say, I don't understand, how I just don't know how the attendance issues, I don't know how that's Doug Wilson's fault. It's something I'm reading in the chat right now. I don't,
It's attendance, that's a winning team is going to draw a crowd. A losing team is going to repel a crowd. I mean, and I shouldn't actually say that because Florida is like second in their division and they can't draw flies to shit. So,
well, that's because their arena. Go on Google Maps. Shout out, friend of the show. Go on Google Maps. Their arena is in the woods.
Yeah, no, I get it. And when we talked to Randy Hahn, I think prior to this season, one of the things he had noted is that like Arizona, Florida, Ottawa, one of the reasons why they do as poor as they do is because their arenas are nowhere near downtown, whereas SAP is located like in the perfect spot. So, to keep fans. But the thing is, SAP, we talked about it last Pucknologists. Hashtag plug that. But we talked about it that the attendance for the Sharks over the last 5 or 6 years, it's consistently gone down. It was, like 15, 16, it was 100. Then it was 99, then 98. And this year it's at 93 and dropping. So, yeah, you got to do something. And I hate to admit it, but I think one of the other deals too is that as the performance has gone down this season and as the attendance has gone down year by year, what's gone up? Ticket prices, concession prices, merch prices. It's
giveaways.
Well, I mean, yeah, they've added the what?
I mean, somebody's got to pay for those, right? I mean, Kaiser can't keep signing checks.
Oh, yeah, no, I get what you're saying there. But, I mean, even that, they're using all the, they did the thing in the 25th season and where they, brought out an obscene amount of giveaways that year. And I think most people thought that, that was going to be a one-off. Like, it's for the 25th anniversary and we'll see this again maybe for the 30th year or maybe they'll wait until the 50th year. Who knows? But either way, they did that, and maybe they saw a jump in people coming in for those, and so they said, let's continue that going. And now it's that problem of, now we've done this, and people have come to expect it. So if we take it away, it'll be anarchy. Now, there's other things that you've taken away, like Drew Remenda or bowling with the Sharks or 4 in the net pizza you get. It happens. But I feel like just the pricing out of fans has really hit a peak over the last 18 months where it's, the money, it's $16 for a beer and $15 for a sandwich. And it's like, I can go a block away, and for half that, for $16, I can get a very good beer and a couple slices of pizza. Better pizza and better beer.
Papa John's. No,
Oh, jeez.
I think, and
places.
And feel free in the chat to light me up all you want. But so, and AJ and I have done this with the Vegas Golden Knights before, but I've been to 4 Vegas Golden Knights games, and one of the things that they do really well, aside from crying, is getting their fans involved in what's going on. They have a lot of ways they pump up the crowd that are actually like not cringy, and they get people involved. They have like a big like balloon looking thing that's similar to Air Shark, and like if you text a number and then the balloon flies to whatever section has the most texts, and that section will win like a gift card or something, like stuff like that to get the fans like, ooh, okay, I wonder what we're gonna do this time. And the Sharks did that with the Finn races, I guess, but again, like, oh wow, so what if you're a season ticket holder and you have the 25-year package, and then you win like a 10% off code for food or whatever? It's like, oh, okay, that's real nice. Like what Vegas does really, and I'm not blaming John Root. John Root's a hell of a guy. He has a very difficult job, and I think he does it well. But
no, I love the chat. First, don't blame John Root. Next one, John Root needs to be fired. See, there's contradiction all over this place.
But what I'm saying
Anthony
is,
asking me if he should buy a LeBanc bobblehead or wait until Turnip and Teal gives them away for free. Your call, my man. Your call.
I'm just like, the Las Vegas Knights, they do a really good job at getting their fans in the building, but also like getting their fans to like pump up and be part of the excitement. And
it's not a fair comparison. Like I get what they're doing, and it's great. They've hired a brilliant marketing department, and that's awesome. But the thing is, again, only 3 years old in a tourist, in a huge city that just screams, has just a ton of people that are constantly waiting to be entertained. So it's kind of different, like we want to compare San Jose to Dallas, maybe?
No, I know, but what I'm saying, but the point I'm trying to make is, and it's like what I was talking about with coaching, but beyond, beyond that, like, things aren't working. Change it up, No,
I hear you.
And and that's the thing. Like, how long have people been complaining about the food at the arena, and they just got around to getting that situated. They did replace a lot of the chairs there, but a lot of them still suck.
Yeah, but that's a long process. I get that, and I will say, when I've sat in the correct chairs,
they had a whole summer to do that.
Yeah, it takes a while. They're updating other things. But I will say, the chairs that they did fix, holy hell, what a difference. Man, those things got a lot more comfy. Our buddy Brody Brazil, did you get that? Our buddy Brody Brazil tweeting, saddened, yes, surprised mildly, shocked not really, intrigued certainly. Difficult to put into words the exact reaction here. There was enough evidence of underperformance this season, but how much of that responsibility lies with the head coach? Interesting you couldn't say that yesterday, Brody, but okay. I get it. He's getting paid. It's all fine.
Oh my goodness!
So
I read a Go ahead.
I was just gonna say let's just get back to the thing at hand. So DeBoer's out, Spott's out, Hedberg's out, Barr's out. So we're left with Boughner, who, if you don't remember, coached Florida for a couple years, but prior to that was part of DeBoer's staff defensively. Was part of the group that helped, the defensive coach that helped Brent Burns get his Norris Trophy. So not a lot of success with Florida. Don't know that he had the most talent there to get it over the hill. But, hey, Boogie has the opportunity to redeem himself, and the Sharks get a look at him. It's a win-win for everybody involved at this point. But if Boughner doesn't pan out, like, let's just say that Boughner is given this opportunity. He coaches the remaining, 48, 49 games left on the schedule, and the Sharks are on the same trajectory they're on now, and they missed the playoffs. I think the last I looked, they were on pace for like 82, 83 points. That's not going to get it done. So if they miss and Wilson comes to Boogie and says, hey, you know what, though? You did a lot of things that we liked. We'd like to negotiate something. Okay, fine. But if Boogie says, nah, you know what? I don't want a head coach for a little while. I just want to like be an assistant, or I'm done with this Mickey Mouse operation, whatever it could be. Who do you look for if Boogie doesn't work out?
I think it's too early to tell. Just because.
Oh, we just wait for another. Well, there's already been 5 coaches fired. We'll just take whoever the 6th one is.
Well, you got to think, though, these coaches, the coaches who've been fired have all been for very sus reasons.
Yeah.
Babcock, Montgomery, Bill Peters, and whoever the 4th guy was.
Well, Mark Crawford is just under investigation.
He's making an announcement.
Under investigation.
I was going to say, make an announcement. We're going to make an announcement. I think, and I've been talking about this for weeks now, maybe even months or a year, but like, if Boughner works out, terrific. But if he doesn't work out, I think the Sharks need to get a head coach who's never coached in the NHL before. Because the Sharks go on and on and on about their young talent and how LeBanc and Meyer are going to lead the team. And, we have Chekhovich and we have Chmielewski and all these guys. It's like, similar to what I'm not going to make the Dallas example because obviously Jim Montgomery ended up being a bad dude. But like you look at the Rangers, like the Rangers.
You're saying never been a coach
in the NHL
at the NHL level. No, I'm
Correct.
talking. So assistants count as well.
I could probably make an exception to that. But so you look at the Rangers roster, a lot of young guys. And so they hired David Quinn, whose highest level of coaching experience was, I believe, NCAA. And so you kind of get that maturation to go at the same time where you have young prospects with a guy who's used to coaching young guys and see if you can't bring them up together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I like this comment from Anthony. Marco Sturm.
He currently an assistant with LA, though I would not be upset if he quit that job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the tough part, is trying to convince him otherwise. However, the GM in LA used to be with the Sharks, so maybe Dougie can flip the switch on something there. But look, a lot of people, talking Bilesma, Adam Oates, Lindy Ruff. I mean, a lot of retreads there.
All right, let's get into some more Brody stuff. Obviously, talking about the drastic swings that have happened with the 4 straight losses, 3 straight wins, and then win 9 of 10, lose 7 of 8, blah, blah, blah. Somehow you have the best PK in the league. You also, at this point, have the most penalty minutes in the league.
Yeah.
But says the national media will do quick research on goaltending stats and take the easy bait. I'm not sure what the hell he means by that. But if you've watched all the periods that we have, save percentage and goals against are individually based but reflect the team's effort. Goaltending, average plus, team defense, not good at all. Do you agree with any of that?
No.
Me neither.
Saying the goaltending is average is like saying that Fanatics product is average.
Well, see, what I'm taking from that is he says the goaltending is average. The team defense is not good at all. So, first off, an average goalie is going to steal a game or two, even if he's just average. And I really haven't seen that from Jones. And then he's talking about team defense not good at all. Okay, well then is it
Has
okay?
He watched Carlson Vlasic play together the last 6 weeks?
Well, not only that, there's that yes, that's definitely been on the come up. But then I want to go back and say, okay, the team defense, I mean, and I get it when he says team defense, he's talking about the forwards as well. But when you say team defense has not been good at all, well, then are you saying that Doug Wilson screwed up by paying his blue line $30+ million?
Nope. No, because that's...
Why does this team defense suck so bad? And why? And if hello, you're putting in a defensive coach.
Well, I mean, you just said yourself though. Team defense encompasses the forwards as well.
Yes.
So the forwards aren't seeing any of that $30 million paycheck.
No, but you get what I mean. It's like the defense has, for me, the defense has gotten better. You would think that that would carry over and it might help Jones.
You'd think, yeah.
Like statistically speaking, if you put more talent in front of the goaltender, it's like, wouldn't it stand to reason that all those numbers would get better instead of get worse?
And I too, I want to identify real quick, Red Jones saying players need a coach that you can, coach. DeBoer on record saying he can't teach. Teacher and coach are synonyms for the most part. I agree with that because we've seen a couple times with Burns, with Erik Karlsson, with Vlasic, with the big guys who could play with their eyes closed. He's saying, okay, do this, do that. Like he's saying, okay, you got to play this way. And then with the young kids, it's like, all right, kid, you're going to play with Joe Thornton and Joe Pavelski. Go figure it out. And if you don't score a hat trick, we're going to bench you. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I like that. Lance asking if we're beefing with Brody. No. I don't mean to be on his ass lately. It's not him. It's broadcasters at large. Yeah, we adore Brody, but broadcasters at large, and this is not a new thing. This has been happening for a while. We talked with Remenda about it, is that fans that sit there and watch game in and game out, and obviously we sit here and talk about problems that we see, and then the ones that are on TV, they just sit there and pump the tires, and every cloud, we're never going to talk about how dark that cloud is. We will only talk about the silver lining. And again, I will always go back to what Drew Remenda said. How can I praise this team with any credibility if I can't critique them honestly? Yeah. I like that. DeBoer gets debut.
But Red making a good point, and that was one of the things PDB mentioned early on, was that trying to teach him was out of his box a little bit. And we remember we were talking about how weird the preseason was going because they needed to figure out which players they were going to implement in with the veterans. So I think it was all starting to go to Crapsville in the preseason, that we saw little cracks, and then the start didn't help. October didn't help, but
Chris up in here yet again, of course. Chris, say what you will about high danger chances, but I seem to recall a ton of games where the Sharks have made sure barely anything even got on net, and Jones still manages to let in 3 or 4. And he makes a good point. Chris, you can find him at Brody NBCSN.
Oh, wow.
And you know what, AJ? It's like you and I talked about on Pucknologist. The cheese just fell off the cracker, right? I just had to get that one in there.
All right, so I think we're about done here. I mean, this all just kind of hit us last minute, so had to get in and, of course, talk about it. Oh, but before we do that, though, thank you very much. Kopitar 11. Take McClellan back, please. Oof.
Yikes.
Well, you know what? Kopitar, I don't think that T-Mac has the same polish that he used to. So we're going to leave him there with Rob, Blake, and you guys. So thanks very much for watching. Thanks for joining us on here. He's at Hockey Jerk. I should say at Hockey_Jerk.
Thank you.
There we go. Puck Guy 14. I'm AJ_Strong. Thanks for joining us. We will catch you tomorrow following the New York Rangers versus the San Jose Sharks. That is a 7 o'clock start, right? Is it a little early? No, it's 7:30. 7 o'clock on Saturday. So
is that one going to be a takeover?
Could be a Pucknologist takeover on the show tomorrow. Could be interesting. So tune in for After Dark following Sharks versus Rangers tomorrow, and
I'll see you at the tank.
And it could be an interesting. You might want to just follow the San Jose Sharks Twitter when they do their Periscope video in the morning, or. As most of you know, there's usually a combination of the broadcast crew, whether it's Ruzanowski, Hetty, Baker, Hahn. They usually do a hit at about 10 o'clock or so on Facebook Live. Might want to tune in for that. Maybe set your alarm clock for that one and get in on that. But, hey, As it stands right now, Peter DeBoer is gone. A lot of prayers are answered somewhere, somehow, in northern Canada. There is a small, angry Canadian guy just going, I mean, losing his mind right now. So enjoy it, Ian. This one was for you. Clearly. And that's it. See you tomorrow for After Dark, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal. Enjoy what should be a very fun night for most of you. We'll see you on Twitter and on Discord.